Am I audible, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you so much. So we'll start off with the session since we have a couple of activities to do. So as people join in, they can continue from wherever we uh, let them do so. So, like we discussed, we are going to take up the
Excuse me,
descriptive
ma'am.
writing today. Yes, Tanisha?
Ma'am, I have a doubt. Like yesterday, I missed the starting of the class. So
Okay.
will we have any recording?
Yeah, there is a recording. And I think once this class is done, maybe by tomorrow or so, you can find a playlist to this. So you can check the recording for uh, the initial part of the session, whichever ones you missed. Okay.
Will it be on YouTube?
I think yes.
Thank you,
They'll
ma'am.
create a they'll create a playlist and you can check it out there. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sure, no issues. Okay, so so we did the basics yesterday, right? We looked at both the introductory part, which is the development and the organization part of the paragraph. We also looked at the two strategies that we require, two not strategies, two techniques that we use to build a paragraph, which was unity and cohesion, right? And we also looked at a few strategies that you can employ in order to ensure that there's unity and cohesion to your paragraph. Now, today, we're going to look at one kind of paragraph writing. So, like I was talking yesterday about the process of writing, there are several sorts, there are several kinds of, write up that you can do, especially when it comes to paragraph. But the most commonly used, the most commonly done sort of writing in paragraph writing is a descriptive writing, right? Something that you require in every area, right? You do narrate, right? But narration is something that you usually do in conversations, right? Like, for example, say you're making a presentation, then the style of speech or the style of manuscript that you need to have handy is a narrative style of writing, right? So when you write down a manuscript for your presentation, it's narration. Narration is basically storytelling, right? But what we are going to look at today as a part of basic writing skills is descriptive writing. Now, description may have elements of narration, not saying no, but description is more like, something that is done to elaborate, illustrate, or visualize, right? The moment you say descriptive writing, you're basically referring to the form of writing which has the capacity to, render something that is of a visual mode to the reader, which means as the reader works through your write up, the person is able to almost visualize what you are saying, right? What you're writing. So these forms of, or this kind of writing is referred to as descriptive writing. Some form of descriptions are more imaginative in nature, like it lets you imagine things. Some of it could have some technical contents, like for example, say you're writing a catalog, right? You're writing a brochure, or making some sort of a, scientific document which includes description of a process. Now there the element of imagination would be very low or almost negligible, yet there is some amount of description that you're going to work on, right? You're reporting, at the same time you're giving a lot of detail so that it is clearer to the person who's reading, right? So even within description, there are several kinds of description. One could be an imaginative description. One could be a state of art description, which is, you have a gadget in front of you. You're simply giving details and illustrations of how it works and what are its parts, so on and so forth, right? We are going to look mostly at the general description part, and we are going to look at three kinds of description. One is description of a place, description of a thing, and description of a person, right? So we are going to concentrate on description based on these three, right? Because this is the most basic form of descriptive writing. Since the workshop is on basic writing skills, we've decided that we look at the most basic three forms of descriptive writing, which includes description of people, place, and things. Okay. So that's the idea, and that's the task for us today. Let me take you through all of those one by one. I'm not going to discuss this note on language and style because I think We mentioned all of this in the introductory part, right? So it's just general stuff which tells you that writing is very context driven, context dependent, and the tone and form of style that you adopt in writing, they're all very context dependent and based on your audience. So nothing much to discuss there. We already did have a discussion on this. We begin from this part, right, wherein we're going to specifically talk about what involves descriptive writing. How is it different from other forms of writing, or rather, what goes into the making of a descriptive writer, right? So in sense of content, so if we're going to look at descriptive writing, particularly from the angle of three important elements in writing, which is content, language, and style. uh, when it comes to content in any form of descriptive writing, whether it's about object or person or place, descriptive writing usually appeals to our senses, right? So the moment I say descriptive writing, or whether that is a description of object, person, or place, what I'm essentially saying is that this writing is going to appeal to our senses, right? Senses in the sense that it appeals to what I can see, what I can smell, what I can taste, right? What I can touch and what I can feel. So your five senses. Anything that you write within that zone is going to be, or anything that you're going to write in your descriptive content is what that appeals to your five senses, right? So this also clue to what content you're going to write in the descriptive form, right? The moment you're asked to do something descriptively, you need to check whether I can write something along the lines that can appeal to somebody's sight or smell or touch or feel, right? Imagine you're writing a description for a gadget, right? So if you're somebody who has done that before, or if you've read descriptions of a gadget, even, you know how they write it down, right? So most of the times they make sure that, so you've seen people writing, slender body, right? This is particularly when you're describing phones, right? It has a slender body. So what are they trying to appeal to? Which sense do you think a slender body would appeal in terms of a phone? Of course, touch and feel is one thing, right? It's slender to touch and all that. Also to see, right? Basically, they're referring to the compactness of touch, feel, and see. The moment you touch it, the moment you feel it, the moment you see it, it looks compact and it is slender to touch and feel, right? So this description is basically to appeal to three senses at least: see, the sight, the touch, and the feel, right? So this is what I meant. Whatever the description is of, right? Whether it's object, person, or place, right? The first thing in the content with respect to descriptive writing would be to write something that appeals to your senses, right? That appeals to the reader's senses. Now, um, as far as the language part is concerned, of course, it's a descriptive writing. Hence, the word choice is going to include a lot of modifiers, right? You will have to include a number of modifiers because this is descriptive writing that you're doing. This is elaboration and illustration. You're basically adding information, you're giving additional details about something. Given the case, you definitely will have to use quite a lot of modifiers. And what are these? Adjectives, adverbs, right? Or sometimes also prepositional phrases, right? So if you're going to write about, say, the description of a place, obviously you'll have to use a lot of prepositional phrases. And why prepositional phrases and not just preposition? Because when you use a prepositional phrase, you have a variety of usage allowed, right? You can combine various prepositions and, nouns together to form a prepositional phrase. So it just gives you abundant choice to choose from when you're using them. So three things. I don't have prepositional phrase on the slide, but make sure that you use that as well. So modifiers plus prepositional phrases would be certainly a part of the language or linguistic choice that you use for descriptive writing, right? So within modifiers, adjectives and adverbs, combinations of them, right? uh, Combinations of them, which means you should also have an idea about how collocations work in language, right? So for example, certain words go together always, right? So if you have a good grip on the collocation part of the language, then well and good. If not, you should read more so that you understand which kind of words can go together, which can I pair up, right? So either an ordinary combination of adjective nouns or adverb adjective nouns, or a collocational combination of either of them or both of them, plus prepositional phrases become a very important part to give the vocabulary required to describe something, right? You have certain set list of words. Like for example, if you, simple Google search can take you to certain charts and certain PDFs, which gives you a set of words which can be used to express emotions and feelings. Okay. So what are the prominently used terms when you have to express, when you have to write about anger, or when you have to talk about, a melancholic time, say a worrisome time, a sad time, or what are the words that you can use to express happiness, right? There are several words. There are words like elation, there's words like ecstatic, right? So can you use all of them everywhere? No. So you need to first understand the gravity of the feelings that you're going to write about, and then choose the word wisely to give it the apt description, right? So for at least these feelings and emotions, you will have charts and PDFs available. You can take a look at it and use the words aptly to do the description. But in imaginative writing, which is also like creative writing, the combinations are sometimes very new, right? They're not set expressions that you see as always. The writer comes up with their own creative expressions to describe and narrate their experiences, right? So that's a different story. People who read a lot of fiction, or people who read generally otherwise, right, they usually know these expressions. They're very well aware of such constructions. So which is why someone who's well read, someone who has a steady habit of reading, is a much better writer than someone who visits it once in a while, right? So you have a choice. You have a knowledge of a lot of such constructions that's current or archaic or whatever it is. You have a knowledge of those constructions, which is why, it's always suggested someone who wants to become a good writer should also be a good reader, or rather the person who wants to be a writer should be a good reader in first place in order to be a writer, right? You get introduced to these constructions, and then you know how to use the language in a much better way. It's under your control, rather than you being its control. Okay, so that's about the language. So you use, I did not read it through. Ananya, what did you write? His eyes soften, his eyes darken. Yes, so what you're doing is, you also give a touch of what you call as personification for writing, right? So all this comes through someone who has experiences of these things, or someone who can envision the experience in a better way. So we all know. So it's not like, we can't understand what the writer is telling us, or what they have experienced. But it's just that we don't have enough words. We do not. We just we are at a loss of word to express what we feel. The difference between, say, someone like us or someone like a seasoned writer is that the writer has more, knowledge, or more knowledge of words. Okay, the person is almost like a wordsmith who has enough of words and constructions at his or her hand to express their feeling better, right? So yes, what you wrote is right. That's an apt expression. But you give this to 10 people in this group, they're going to write it differently, right? That's the difference of how you look at it, how you experience it, and how you observe people around you or things around. Okay. Uh, Now comes the last part, the three-part thing, the three-part features that you need to build up a paragraph descriptively. The last one is style. So style, again, it should be based on the audience at hand. Tones in descriptive writing, you are at your choice, depending on the purpose that you're writing the description for. You can either keep your language ironic, you can keep it intellectual, or you can keep it emotional, right? All of those tones are going to be rendered using, again, your own language, right? You need to play around with the words in the language in order to supply the essential tone required, right? Sometimes certain kinds of constructions help you, not just, word choice, but say sometimes even the length of the sentences help you deliver certain types of tones. So if I use a very short sentence, say I'm communicating to my reader, and I decided to write 10 sentences in my paragraph, right? And all the 10 sentences are short sentences. What do you think would be the tone? If I use 10 short sentences to describe something,
To
is
the
it
point
emotional?
points.
Sorry?
Ma'am, the point should be to the points. Like it would
It is to
only
the
convey
point.
the info.
Okay, to the point. But if I ask you in terms of tone, right? Say if I want to emotionally connect with my reader, right? I'm talking about something that is very emotional. I want the reader to to identify with what I'm saying, to understand, to be in my shoes, right? Do you think using too many short sentences will help me build that emotional tone?
Maybe
Then
not.
we will talk in
Maybe
soft
not,
tone.
right? Yes, maybe not, right? Because when I keep my sentences very short, what happens is it looks like a state of art description, right? I'm basically just giving point by point description. A is B, B is C, C is D. I'm only saying that. I'm not saying anything. I'm not trying to get that person's, that person on my side. But when I add elaborations to what I'm writing, I write a short sentence, then I give an elaboration to what has been written, then go back to the short, again give an elaboration. It helps me build my case, right? So even the length of the sentence then plays a major role in building up the tone or appealing to the reader when you're writing. um, say I want to make things a little, I want to spice up things a little bit, right? I don't like this plain kind of writing, or I don't like keeping it very emotional or curt or intellectual or whatever, but I want to make it a little ironic, right? I want to touch the humorous note here. I want to touch the tickle bone, right? So what would I do? I'll have to use an ironic tone here, okay? Or I have to say I have to present something not ironic. If I have to present something in a humorous way, I can use satirical tones, right? I want to draw my attention to a particular case when I'm writing. I can use the ironic tone. And now, how do I do that? If I have to use ironic tone, if I have to convey something that is important but is being ignored, and so if I want to use an ironic tone, I use a parallel structure, right? A parallel writing style. I'll show you examples of that in the next slide, just for your understanding. So there's an example here for what you call a sentence length, right? So look at the short sentence and the long sentence, for example, right? Short sentences. The old house stood alone. Okay. Now, the same thing with a little bit of more elaboration. The dilapidated moss covered Victorian house with its peeling paint and crooked porch stood isolated on the hill overlooking the town, a silent sentinel of a bygone era. Right? What is the difference between these two? Between the short and long? And I'm not asking you about the sentence length. I'm asking in terms of its delivery of message. What difference do you feel?
First is giving the only where it is about a house, and the second one is also explaining the condition of that house.
Yeah. So the first statement is, yeah, Tanisha, you have anything to say?
Ma'am, I think the long sentence kind of gives an emotional touch.
It gives an emotional touch. Okay. Anybody else? Any comment? Anything that you feel?
Ma'am,
It
the
paints a
first
vivid.
statement,
1 second. Ayushman, right? Yeah, go ahead.
the first statement is just stating that it is a house old,
Mhm.
and the second sentence elaborates about its condition.
Correct. Correct. Okay. Somebody else also. Kashika.
Yes, the second one, it is painting
Yeah,
a vivid picture of how the house looks like. In the first one, we
absolutely.
just know a house is there, but the second one, we can imagine the complete house and what condition it is in.
Correct, right. So, putting together everything that, okay, Manisha says, second one is more descriptive and appeals to senses. Yes, absolutely. All of you are right. So, if I sum up what you guys are saying, you basically are saying that the first one is a state of art sentence, right? It's a factual sentence. It's just stating something. It's saying an old house stood alone. Okay, it's more like a factual statement. The second one is something like you all mentioned. It appeals to our senses. It's more vivid and it's more descriptive, and in the process it is something that is making the whole writing what you call as picturesque, right? So it's not like reading a sentence, it's like almost seeing a picture, right? You can almost see, you are not just reading but you can also see what is being said. So the, as in with regards to sentence length, elaboration or long sentences can do this magic, right? So it saves your sentence from sounding too curt, in the sense that, you know, it sounds like a very, you know, a statement or a factual sentence, which does nothing to our emotional sense, of course. It does not appeal to our sense, of course. It does not give us any description, of course. But the longer sentences does provide you a space to include all of this. Now, I have another question. So if that is the case, what if I have a paragraph which has long sentences like this, right? The dilapidated so and so. If, say, I have a paragraph which has 5 or 6 sentences, and all of the 5 sentences are this long. I will show you a sentence very soon. uh, but you know, just out of your out of curiosity, and just, you know, to know how you look at these things, right? So say I have a paragraph with 5 sentences which are this long.
Then it will be tough for reader to read.
Yeah, so then we have the problem then is that, you know, it's difficult to keep your reader afloat, and you know, keep them steadfast onto what they're reading, because too much of information, you know, supply too much information, and you know what happens, your brain shuts, right? You can't make your brain overwork on something, right? So even if it is something that gives you a vivid description, something that appeals to your senses, you need to you need to give pauses and breaks for this, right? You can't have like 5 long sentences put together into one sentence, even if it is for, say, descriptive writing, because it becomes tedious for the brain to process, right? uh, so the suggested method is that you alternate, or even if you don't alternate, you make sure that there is a healthy mix of both short and long sentences, so that there is breathing time for the reader, right? So they have seen something as long as the sentence you have here, and then give them a short 1 or 2 sentences, so that they have time to process what they read, and they also come back to the mood of getting back to the next one, right? So keep it long all the time, it's going to be difficult for them to process. Keep it short all the time, you will lose the reader, because it won't appeal to them, right? So a better way of progressing with this is that you have a healthy mix of both, because that is what will help create a rhythm and flow, okay, of both reading as well as writing. Okay. Now, parallel sentence structures, they're most commonly used when you have to present something ironic in nature, right? What is ironic? What do we mean by ironic? Any example of ironic?
Ma'am, something completely opposite of what we have described earlier.
Okay. Something that is strange, okay, or something that is different from what you expected, right? Um, so, any example that you can come up with for irony, ironic situation?
My example, someone is telling something to do in a particular situation, like to not
Huh.
repeat that mistake, but then they do the mistake itself. So it's
Huh.
ironic that they're suggesting to do that when they do that themselves.
Okay, correct. That is one example. Good. When some more popular example, you know, something which is, you know, easily understandable to people. Say something like, you know, you So I think one very popular example people use for irony is the sinking of Titanic, right? Why is the sinking of Titanic ironic?
Because it is supposed to float on water, but it did sink.
No, okay. Every ship is supposed to do that, but the problem with Titanic was it was marketed as something which was unsinkable. Remember, if you have read about the history of Titanic, they claimed that this is a ship that can never sink. Okay, this is built in such a way that it can never sink, but then it sank, right? In its first voyage, it did sink, right? So this was quite ironic for some, thing that was marketed and something that was sold to people as, a ship that will not sink, but then it sank on its first voyage itself. This situation is called ironic, right? So the results are quite opposite to what you expect, right? That's when you call a situation or something ironic in nature. Okay, I hope that's clear to you. Uh, so having opposite effect. If you look up the dictionary meaning, then they will tell you that it means having opposite meaning, right? Contradictory meaning. Okay. So look at the sentence that you have there. The waves crashed against the shore. The seagulls cried overheard, and okay, what happened? Yeah, and the salty breeze swept through the air. Now, when you have a parallel sentence structure, one of the use is to, show an ironic tone. Although the sentence that I have on screen is not something that gives you ironic tone, I'll give you example of ironic tone in which parallel sentence structure is used. But if you look at the sentence, what is it that you see? What do you understand about parallel sentence structure if you look at that example?
That we try to demonstrate the situation from different things.
No, we'll come to the function later, but if you look at the structure itself, what is special about a parallel sentence structure? This is also called parallelism, okay? Parallelism is basically anything that uses a parallel sentence structure. So, can you comment on the structure of the sentence? Do you see similar words or phrases or structures, repetitive structures in that one? So waves crashed, seagulls cried, salty breeze swept. See that? So similar grammatical structures, okay? Grammatical, a repeat on grammatical structures of words or phrases or sentences. That's what is called parallel sentence structure. Right. So for example, say I'll give you some examples. I'll just type it out in your chat. I unfortunately don't have more examples in the slide, but I can give you more, right? Um,
Is it metaphorical?
no, it's not metaphorical. They're just similar grammatical structures. So, mm, okay, just a moment. I'll give you examples. Let me see if I think I have another slide which has examples of parallel structures. I'll just open that up and show you. Okay, I think that is better rather than me looking for examples elsewhere right now. Just give me a moment. I'll open this up and I'll momentarily stop sharing this slide so that I can show you the other one. Just give me a moment. Parallel structures. Yes. Okay. Sentence length. Type train subordinating no structure. Periodic conjunctive center. Yeah. Okay. Uh, yeah. What happened? Can you see the screen or is it blank?
Ma'am, the screen is not being shared.
It's okay. Something happened in just a moment. Okay, one moment. I'm just going to sign out from this one and I'll get back. I'll be here. I'm just momentarily signing out from this one. I'll join back again. Seems to be some issue with the internet, I guess. Let me check. In case that doesn't work, then I will give you the examples typed out in the chat itself, okay? Oh, okay. Something. Okay, something is not right with that. So what I'll do is I'll give you examples from the same thing so that you can work on it, okay? So for ironic tone, the parallel structures that you can use is okay. So I'm going to give you two or three examples. Just look at them and understand what this means, okay? Please look at your chat box. So the first one is we will come when we are ready and when we choose. Second one is in its energy, its lyrics, its advocacy of frustrated joys, rock is one long symphony of protest. Then another one is the Department of Justice began a vigorous campaign to break up the corporate empires, to restore the free and open market, and to plant the feet of the industry firmly on the ground to competition. Okay, so in the first one, what are the similar grammatical structures? We will come when we are ready and when we choose. Similar grammatical structures?
When we,
Yes. So, no, when we are ready and when we choose, right? These are two repeating grammatical structures in this one, right? In the second one, in its energy, its lyrics, its advocacy, do you see the structure repeating? Its energy, its lyrics, its advocacy. right? This is called
Yes, ma'am.
parallelism. Yeah. And then in the last one, you have to restore the free and open market, to break up the corporate empires, to plant the feet of the industry, right? You see repeating grammatical structures, right? This is called parallel structures, right? And to show how this can be used to introduce ironic tones in writing, look at the last example here. Joan of Arc, a village girl from the West, was born about 1412, burnt for heresy, witchcraft, and sorcery in 1431, rehabilitated after a fashion in 1456, designated venerable in 1904, declared blessed in 1908, and finally canonized in 1920. Now, why is this ironic? The parallel structure is a simple past tense, right? Burnt, rehabilitated, designated, declared, canonized. This is a simple past tense, which is the grammatical structure that repeats here. But why is this ironic? Why would somebody say that, okay, this one is an ironic tone here? So things are declared as a state of art thing, right? So they're basically going about with its description and report as if, this is like a normal biodata that you're reading out. But then what are you actually reading? This person was actually killed, right? Burnt because the person was accused of witchcraft and whatnot. And then finally, what happened? This person is declared a saint. Get it? In between, the person was incarnated because they thought the fashion is very good. Whatever she used to be doing was considered fashionable. Then finally, you're canonizing it. So there is a I don't know whether I should call it a decline but there's definitely something ironic, right? Somebody who you killed is now someone who's blessed and a saint for you, right?
Ma'am, we
So
can say sarcastic tone, right?
it's ironic, when you begin with burnt, you won't expect that at the end you're going to say that this person was declared a saint, right? You will expect something to go again downhill, right? Oh, burnt and then was done something else, something else. You begin with something, but then you're by the time you reach the end, you're getting an exact opposite of what you were expecting. That's why it is ironic. Okay. So parallel structures are usually used when you have to introduce ironic tone. So one method, of course, there are other methods of doing that, but this is one commonly used technique to introduce ironic tone. I hope you've understood what it meant. That's all. I just wanted to demonstrate how this can be done in writing. But my major issue now is that I'm unable to share the other PPT also. Something has happened to the
Ma'am, what does designated venerable mean?
designated venerable means, somebody who's worthy of worship. Veneration is basically worship. When you worship something, right? Venerate something means worship something.
Okay. Ma'am, is it like, can we say ironical in this way also that as long as she was alive, she
Yeah.
was killed for some like for witchcraft and etc.
Uh-huh.
But after a few years, because she was like memorized, like, she was remembered, sorry, for
Yeah.
like fashion or any other things. So it's ironical,
Yeah.
it's all happening after her death.
Correct, correct. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's ironical that it is happening after her death, and also it's a least expected result of whatever happened to her. Like you mistreated, you killed the person while she's around, and now this person looks like a fashion icon and somebody who's supposed to be venerated and all that. Okay, that's the idea. Okay, yeah, correct. Uh, Let me try and get this PPT back for you so that my life becomes easy. But let me see if it is helping me do that or not. Oh, something terribly has gone wrong with the. I'll try again. You're still able to hear and see the chat and all that, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Everything else is okay.
Ma'am, I had a doubt about the
Yes.
type of paragraph.
Yeah, sure.
Can I ask it?
Yeah, you can go ahead, no problem.
Ma'am, I've heard of this thing that when we come to descriptive paragraphs, it is
Yeah.
something about a, like an event that has actually happened or you have seen it, so you can paint that vivid picture. But in the case of narrative paragraphs, you're
Hmm.
just making an imagination and telling a story and something that perhaps has not happened. Is it like that?
Uh, Not really. You can write descriptions of things based on your experience of something before, also, right? So, in that sense, you can add imaginative elements to a description as well. So, there is no restriction on the part on experience when it comes to either narration or description, right? Your narration could also be something that is made up. Your description can also be something that is made up. So, no problem with that.
Well, then how do we differentiate between both of them then?
So the thing is, in narrative writing, sometimes, not always, there is also a sense of sequential uh, you know writing, right? So you might have to include sequential and chronological order of arrangement of information when it comes to narration, right? uh, Depending on what you're talking about, right?
Yes.
But in case of description, that is not really necessary. You don't have to have chronology or sequential narration. But in narrative paragraphs, in many of the cases, you might have to also include sequential arrangement and chronological arrangement, which is not an important thing as far as description is concerned. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, something is not right with the, I don't know what's wrong, but I'm unable to share the PPT. So let's just discuss. I will try and keep trying to fix it, but I don't want to waste too much time on that. So I'll talk to you. Sorry for the inconvenience. Uh, but wherever possible, I'll just keep posting it to the chat so that you can take a look at the examples. So, sentence length, I think you have understood it by now what it means. Now, we're going to actually talk about what we mean by, what we mean, we've already spoken. Now, we're going to look at how to do a descriptive organization, right? How do we actually descriptively organize things? So, it remains same as the what you have seen for basic paragraph writing. So these paragraphs, descriptive paragraphs, are also going to have a topic sentence. It will also have a supporting set of supporting sentences, and it will also have a concluding sentence. Now, when you talk about concluding sentence, someone was asking about essays yesterday, right? Can we talk a little bit about reflective essays? So, see what happens as far as concluding sentences are concerned in a descriptive essay. You don't need to have a concluding sentence for every paragraph that you write, okay, given you're writing an essay. But if it is a standalone paragraph, say somebody asked you to write just one paragraph worth thing about something, right? A description about something, then it is better that you have something like a concluding sentence, right? But if you're writing an essay, then it is not necessary that each and every paragraph that you write in an essay should have necessarily a concluding sentence, because we understand that essay is somewhere, there's a flow of ideas. So it's not necessary that you give a closure to everything that you write. You can do that very well do that in the final paragraph where you actually present the conclusions of what you're writing, right? So that's the difference between the use of concluding sentence. Now, in descriptive paragraphs also, you may not see a situation where every single descriptive paragraph gets a concluding sentence, right? So concluding sentence remains sort of optional when it comes to descriptive paragraph, okay? But topic sentence and the supporting sentences are compulsory, right? You cannot do away with those two components of the paragraph, but concluding can be sometimes optional for descriptive paragraph, right? So in the descriptive organization, then the first thing that you do is you brainstorm, right? You have your ideas, you jot them down, you outline them, and then before you start writing anything, you also look for what sort of words or what word choice or style should you adopt to write down about the topic at hand, right? So that is about the organization part. Outline, definitely, topic sentence wherein you're going to introduce your object or place or person. You also express your opinion, right? If, as a writer, and you're going to write down something descriptively, you also have the space to express your feeling or opinion along with the introduction of the topic in the topic sentence. Supporting sentences in a descriptive paragraph will include details like background information, descriptive details about what you want to write, and any further details that you want to add about it, right? Uh, okay, so few things. Now, these are some of the things that you need to keep in mind while you're specifically writing about describing people, places, and things, right? So when you're, you know, talking about a person, right? If, for example, you have been asked to write about somebody, right? Sometimes, if it is only about the way they look, then you will go in detail on their physical appearance, which is going to include everything that you can write about them. Like, for example, you talk about their build, you talk about their height, about their hair, and other features like, you know, eyes, nose, skin, hands, mouth, etc. But if, for example, you're simply asked to write about your role model, right, then obviously you're not going to go that deep into the description of their physique, right? Rather, you're just going to leave it, you know, in one or two lines about their physique, because there are other things that are important about them. So this choice you will have to make. But in case you're planning to write in detail about the physique, then make sure that you use uh, enough descriptive words which can talk about that, right? So again, like I was talking to you about the list of words that you can use to express feelings, right? Similarly, you can also get set phrase expressions when talking about, you know, physical features. So let's look at one or two of them, not everything, of course, we don't have time for it. But say if I want to talk about somebody's say what is not very common, let's talk about that. uh, say someone's nose, right? So if I want to talk about someone's nose, can you give me few expressions that can be used with nose?
Sharp,
Sharp nose, okay. More?
Chiseled,
Sorry?
chiseled,
Chiseled nose, okay.
high bridge,
Sorry?
high bridge,
High bridge, yes, okay. Yes, very good. More? Physical description?
big or short,
Big or short, but more than that, say if you want to describe its physical description, like the others mentioned, no? High bridged and chiseled, and although chiseled and all are expressions that you can use with other parts of the body also, not necessarily nose alone, right?
yes,
Broken nose.
Broken nose, okay. So, you know, hooked nose. You can say hooked nose. Somebody has a hooked nose. Okay. Someone has a button nose. So, big nose and short nose. Instead of that, what are you going to say? Button nose or broad nose, right? So, straight or flat bridge. Okay. Flat bridge, like high bridge, there is also flat bridge, right? There's turned up nose, there's bulbous nose, there's flared nose. Now, flared is what? Flared is usually, you know, you're going one step ahead in description. Maybe the person is angry, or maybe the person has a cold, right? So if that is what you're going to describe, then you choose words that are adjectives that are specific to nose and the movement of nose, right? Both has to be combined. Humped nose, crooked nose, right? Thin bridge nose. So while if you're going to focus a lot on the physique aspect itself, then you need to ensure that you use specific adjectives that you can use with each of these, right? Let's say one more, right? Say hair. If you want to talk about someone's hair, Then,
Shiny, silky.
do we say tiny hair? I don't think so. You can say
No,
thin
ma'am,
hair.
shiny.
Oh,
Shiny or
shiny.
silky.
Sorry, sir. Okay, shiny, yes. Thin hair. Yeah, correct. Silky, wavy, jet black if it's about the color, short and spiky, long and flowing, uh, hair with bangs, right?
Pushpa
Chestnut
thing.
brown. Yes, correct, correct, right? Braided, okay, curled or bun. Okay, all of these are what? These are things that would give you specific expressions. So remember, we're talking about picturesque writing. We're talking about descriptive writing. So add everything that you think is going to provide a picturesque experience to the writer, right? So that's the point. So then, in describing people or place or things, the first thing that you need to keep in mind, the first aspect that you're going to keep in mind is that you need to talk about how the person or the thing or the place looks like, right? You need to describe the physical appearance of the person, place, or thing, right? And this you can either do in whole or as parts, right? By what do we mean that? By that, you can either give an overall description of the person's physique or something's look or some places, setting, or you can talk about the various parts that make that particular place, thing, or person. Okay. Uh, so this is the first point for description of people, place, or things. Second part is you talking about what this thing or person or place is like, right? For place, I'll give you a little more details. I'm so sorry that I can't show you the slides, but please listen carefully. At least for person and thing, you can, it runs parallelly. Most of the things that you can use to describe them are similar, right? The adjectives and modifiers would change, but the what goes into the description is same. So after you describe the physical appearance of the person or the thing, then you're going to talk about how this person or thing is like. Now, here is where you're going to use positive and negative adjectives. Okay, let me help you by leaving it in the chat. Positive and Manisha, you posted something. I'm so sorry, I didn't see that. Yeah, fuzzy, frizzy, correct. Uh, so positive and negative adjective. So you're writing about a person or uh, a thing, right? So obviously you can have good opinions, good feelings, bad feelings, good mood, bad mood about all of that. So these positive and negative adjectives are going to be prominently used while you're describing any of these. That's a person or a thing, right? So examples, positive and negative adjectives, just to, just so that we can have a look at them.
Innocent.
Positive,
Sorry.
positive adjectives can be of like he's a passionate person or sincere person, thoughtful person,
Correct. Very good.
generous person.
Hmm. Hmm. Good. Okay.
Also, innocent can be added in that.
Yeah, innocent can be added. So you're right. Now, the only difference is going to be that when you're going to actually write it down, you're going to look for words that don't sound very common, right? So instead of, say, using a word like passion, what can you use? Tell me. Passion, right? So what
Ambitious.
passion and ambitious, same? Okay, almost.
Determinant.
Okay, somebody who's determined. Okay, someone who's fervent, right? Someone who's an ardent follower of science or something, right? Someone who's zealous, right? So once you've decided that, this is the exact emotion I want to portray. So passion is what I want to show. Then look for something that is more uncommon in usage than, this word, right? So passion, why do we say you should not? I'm not saying don't use it, but try to find alternatives for this because that keeps repetition and redundancy of your writing, right? And it also displays the linguistic choice, the variety of linguistic choice that you have at your hand, right? And it sometimes also helps you elaborate and describe things in a much better fashion than simply saying passionate, right? So another example is the same thing that you need to use a little sparingly is the use of the word very, right? So very passionate, okay, or very determined, right? You can use a different word. You can look for a different word that can convey the meaning very passionate, right? Instead of writing very passionate. So all of this happens after you're ready with the draft. Once you have the draft, you can make and adjust changes in the word choice or in the whole style that you have written the document out, right? So that's about how to do that. And the third thing, so first you write about the physical appearance, then you write about how the person or the thing is like, wherein you're going to use a lot of positive adjectives or negative adjectives depending on, to write about what you like about them or what you don't like about them, right? And then go about adding whatever other details you want to add later on. Okay. So that's how it works. What additional details? So when I ask you, you can add any more details in terms of, say, a person or a place. Some questions that you can explore to add content to your writing would be: how do you know the person, right? What is the relationship that you share with the person? Where have you met, or how long have you known each other? Any other miscellaneous details about the person can be added later on. But the most important thing that you need to write down is the way they look, and what do you feel about them, what do you like about them. These things are not something that you can do away with. Rest of the miscellaneous questions to add content to it can be decided by yourself, right? You can add anything you think would be suitable to make that content wholesome, right? This is the case for both object and people. So in the case of object, the difference when you are going to write about appearance would be that you are going to now write about the size, the shape, and the color of the object, right? Maybe you can write about that or a little more. Then you are going to write about what is its function, what is it used for, or what does it mean for you, for that matter, right? Then comes additional details, which can include, say, maybe the weight, the texture, the price, the cost, material, so on and so forth, right? Uh, when it comes to places, of course, you're going to write about the physical appearance. You're going to write about how it looks like. But what you're also going to write about is the space and settings, right? So you're going to talk a little bit about the environment that it is in. You're also going to talk about the time, right? The year, month, and season. You're going to talk about other people and things that you have seen in the settings or in the place, right? And if you're going to go about with more descriptive approach to, talking about a place, then you can use more figurative language here, right? Like you can use metaphors, you can use similes, or you can personify what you see there, right? All of this can also then be a part of descriptive writing when it comes to places, right? And like in the previous case, you can also write about what you feel about, the place. So negative, positive adjectives again make a root here. Okay. So overall, for describing, say, person, thing, or place, the most important part is to write about the physical appearance of all of them. And secondly, about what the writer feels or what the writer's attitude towards the given person, place, thing is, right? Rest, everything is miscellaneous. You can add according to what you want to write for. Okay. So that's about the elements of description in person, place, and thing, right? This part I already talked to you about, avoiding common word choice or overused words. I'll just give you a few examples. I'll paste this in the chat so that it's easier for you to understand. Just go through this one as I paste it here. So the first one is adverbs, like I was talking about, right? Very, so, and really, very passionate, very loud, really helpful. So these are expressions that you see very commonly in the write-ups, right? So while you're talking to someone, maybe it is all right, because in conversational languages, when you speak with someone, our primary focus is to convey the message, not to bring variety to what you're talking, right? In writing, but variety is a very important component. Hence, we need to make sure that we use words that can render clear and specific meanings, right? So instead of saying very, so, really, with everything, you can alternatively try words like this, like absolutely, acutely, awfully. So very beautiful, you can say absolutely beautiful, dearly beautiful, right? Excessively beautiful, extraordinarily beautiful, right? So sleepy, you can say, oh, deadly sleepy. Okay. Absolutely sleepy, profoundly sleepy, right? He was noticeably sleepy, right? So instead of repeating very, so, and really, then you can use a choice of these adverbs so that your writing looks, much better, right? It looks more well crafted, right? Let me show you the other instances of overuse of common words. This was a sample of overused adverbs, so, really, and very. Now I'm going to show sample of overused nouns, right? And there's this one word which keeps making its entry every now and then when you want to talk about some thing that you don't know the name of, right? Look at this, things. Every time you don't know the name of a particular object, the usual habit is to substitute it with the word thing or things. So instead of doing that, you can use, or you can choose from a list of words that you see here, right? Try instead accessories, affairs, assets, baggage, bags, belongings. So now the list here was going to be really long because we're talking here about nouns, right? So whichever ones fit the context that you're writing about, choose, make a wise choice based on that, and substitute the word thing with, something that is more concrete, right? When you say a word, or when you use a word like thing for an actual entity, it's very vague, right? People don't understand. What thing are you referring to? So instead of doing that, you can make a choice, a right choice of something that is more concrete in nature and is more clear to people than the word thing itself, right? Okay. Now, another instance of overused words would be this, right? So this is the last set here that I'm going to show you. This includes a list of adjectives, verbs, as well as determiners, which are very commonly used. So I've not given a use other word instead column for this one because the list is too huge when it comes to verbs and determiners and adjectives. But I'm just showing you samples of the words that are used very commonly, adjectives that are used very commonly. And the problem with using them is they're very limited in its description. When you say big, small, little, new, nice, happy, important, of course they're adjectives, but the problem is they don't have enough description capacity, right? They're very ordinary adjectives, right? They do not give you anything specific and concrete about the description. So avoid using them too much, okay? Do not use them as much if you're doing a descriptive writing, if you're writing something descriptively. Instead, find out adjectives that you think can pass on the message more clearly, right? Use these things only if necessary. They're very limited in its expression and meaning. So use them very sparingly. Verbs like know, said, like, right? The word like, the verb like is used so much that, it sometimes becomes very irritating to see also. So instead of going for, state verbs like know, said, like, choose something else, right? So say something like, instead of know, said, and like, you can use words like appears or seems, right? Looks like. So go for more variety, go beyond know, said, and like, okay? Many more other determiners. These are also the words which can be seen every now and then while, you evaluate people's descriptive work. So choose something that can convey, again, clearer meanings than many more and other, right? Particularly the word other. It comes up every now and then, right? Every now and then people say and others. So instead of saying and others, make it more concrete, add something more specific so that there's a full detail and illustration of what you want to write down. Okay. So this is about overused words and word choice. Let me see if there's anything else. Yeah, okay, that's all. So that's all on the description part, whatever I wanted to talk to you from the slide. Now, what we'll do is we'll take up that activity, right? We have about half an hour left. So in the half an hour, we'll do some quick writing activities so that you get some hands-on approach on this. Just give me a moment. I'll share the link with you like I did yesterday. We have one or two short exercises. You can definitely finish it off in this half an hour, right? So just give me a moment. I'll share the link with you. You can join in and work on that. Any questions as of now? Anything that you haven't followed or you have, some doubts to clear off? You can ask me now. Okay, here's your link for the activity session. Please access it from your chat. Join that session, and I'm going to start the class now. Okay. See, one person seems to have joined. I don't know how many have joined by. But is it accessible to all of you? Have you tried joining?
Yes, ma'am, it's accessible.
Okay. So if it is accessible, then no worries. Okay, so this one, this particular picture that you see on screen, right? I'm not sharing the screen yet. Maybe I should do that. At least let me see if it shares the screen so that I know if the problem was with the PPT or. This is letting me share the screen now. Okay. So the thing that you see, I mean, you don't have to look at the screen. If you have access to the link, obviously you will have this picture with you. So um, all you have to do here is just, take a look at this picture. And in the next 2 minutes, I want you to just 2 minutes, okay, not more than that. Write down as many adjectives as it comes to you. Okay. Adjectives or adverbs, any of them, right? Write down as many adjectives that you can write looking at this picture. Hmm. Okay. 6 of 9 responses. Those of you who have joined, please try and answer the questions if you have any. So you can give a generic description, or you can, maybe choose one particular thing that you see there and, write associated adjectives. Anything works. Okay, I think that's fine. How much ever you've written, fine enough. Okay. Now you have another task at hand, right? So you have to rewrite the following paragraph using different adjectives than the one used. So what I would suggest you to do is just copy paste the paragraph, and wherever you see an adjective, right, try and replace it with another adjective, right? Um what kind of adjectives you choose is left to your discretion. I'm not going to interfere in that. Just paste the paragraph as such, and wherever you find an adjective, right, wherever you find one, try to use a different adjective than the one that you have actually here, right? So do this one. Maybe by 5:15, 5 minutes should be enough. And the last 15 minutes, maybe you guys can do the free writing task. Okay. You can use your dictionary or Google, whatever is at hand.
Ma'am, we can't copy paste it.
You're not able to do that. Okay. Let
No.
me then do one thing. What I can do is, oops. I leave it for
No
you.
worries, I send it in chat.
Sorry? Sorry?
I send it in chat.
You will send it in chat. Why? You are able to copy paste?
No, ma'am, I have the scan thing in
Ah,
my laptop.
okay, okay, like that. Yeah, yeah, you can do that. If it is not accessible, just let me know. I'll maybe send a document or something. Ah, oh, she's already copied it. Okay.
The text is not complete. That she sent it in the in the
Oh,
chat. It's
just
not
a
complete.
moment. Does it not let you paste beyond a limit? Is what I'm thinking. Do that in two parts then. Okay. Here's, yeah, I got that. That it's not letting you paste beyond that. So I've also decided to do it the other way. Okay. I think now you have the full text.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. So in case you're not able to finish up with the actual paragraph, free writing,
I'll leave the window open so you can, I'm not going to end the session. So as long as you have access to the link, please save that link that you have for working on this. So even while we're done with this session, you can finish it off and submit, right? So that I can send you back a send you sort of feedback, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Sure. So that paragraph also, I don't expect you to write more than what you see in this one, right? So just 5 to 6 lines max, not more than that. This is just to give you, this particular exercise is to show you how the sentences are structured, how you're expected to write, and also to give you a chance to, look at a few modifiers, right? Hmm. People who are trying to access the link now, I'm just going to repaste the link in the chat so that, if there's anybody who wishes to join now, and there are people who are joining now, I don't know how to help you, but you see, if you want to take up these activities, maybe you can work at your own pace. So I'm just leaving the activity section open for everyone. Of course, I can't go back on the demonstration part. So what you can do is you can sign into this you can use this link to log into the activity. And if you wish to work on that, you can do that. Okay. And when you come for a session, at least, ideally come 5 minutes ago. And even if not, even if you're late, then, it's not recommended if you come post 10 minutes, because uh, a lot of the content would be lost by then for you. Ananya, you done?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So we'll maybe 1 more minute, and I'll just take you through some other activities just to give you a, idea of what we are doing in this particular activity. And of course, you have access to this, so you can maybe come back and work on this question too, like the other one. So just a minute more, and I'll take you to the other exercise, right? Okay. So let me. This is your actual writing activity, which you can take up once the session is over, right? Once you've understood what to do with this, you can choose one of the topics, so either a memorable trip or an influential person in your life, and construct a paragraph just like what you saw here, right? Something according to the, along the length that you see here, and also based on what we have discussed in the last two sessions, right? But I'm going to skip this one, but this is what I want you to. Okay. So, whatever adjectives you've used, right, in the previous activity, right? If you are able to do something called adjective grouping, right? If you're able to do the adjective grouping, then replacement of adjectives become very easy. So, for example, if you look at this question, what's the first adjective? Valuable, right? My most valuable possession. So most is the adverb and valuable is the adjective, possession is the noun. So if you group valuable into a particular category of adjectives, right? What kind of adjective is valuable?
We can write precious.
What is it, sorry?
Precious.
No, I'm asking what group. What is the grouping for this one? Which category will you put this?
The worth of the object.
Positive.
Sorry?
Worth of the object.
Worth, or when I say something is valuable or something is not valuable, what am I essentially saying? I'm giving my opinion of that, right? So this comes under the category of opinion. This is an opinion adjective, right? When I say valuable, it's an opinion adjective, right? Similarly, when I say old, right? What is this? What is the category? Age, yeah. This is an adjective that's related to the age of something, right? Old, new, nascent, right? All of these are adjectives that talk about the age of something. So we are grouping now. Adjective grouping basically means you're categorizing them, right? Why are we categorizing? Because it is easier for us to look for an alternative if you have grouped them, right? If you're going to look at them every time, you'll have to go and say, oh, what are the words that mean similar to old? What are the words that mean similar to valuable or opposite to that? You don't have to do that, right? So once you've grouped the adjectives into a particular category, you just have to give a wild search on adjectives based on opinions, adjectives based on age, right? That helps you. Now if you look at the next one here, slightly is what? It's an adverb, right? It's not an adjective. Bobbed. Bobbed, sorry. What is bobbed? What kind of an adjective is this? Bobbed, blonde guitar.
Condition.
Bobbed, okay. It is something related to the shape, right? When you say bobbed, it means bent or twisted. That is related to shape. So, what is blonde?
Color.
Color.
Okay, so blonde is color. So now you have categories related to opinion, age, shape, and color. Anything else that you've seen here? Nothing? What is scuffed and scratched?
Condition.
Scuffed, scratched, fingerprinted, condition, okay. Anything beyond that? What would be scuffed, scratched, and so if something is scuffed or scratched or fingerprinted, we are basically talking about, again, condition is fine, but more if you give a broader category, then that can be brought under shape itself, right? Shape or size. So they can come under any of those. Now, the next thing, copper wound strings. Copper wound strings.
Material.
Material. Very good. Okay, material. Silver tuning key, again material, right? Long, slim,
Shape.
Shape.
Okay.
shape, size, right? Shape, size. Wood, again,
Material.
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 wood bone would be a material, right? Um, then comes yellow, of course, color. Enormous would be what? Enormous.
Size.
Yeah, size, right? So, put together, you could say that, when you're categorizing the adjectives, the most commonly seen adjective grouping would be opinion, size, shape, age, material type, and sometimes also origin and purpose. Okay, people can add adjectives relating to origin and purpose as well. Now, what is important for you to know here is grouping, of course, but what is also important for you to know here is the adjective order. Okay, so if I take an example from what I see here, uh, old, slightly bobbed blonde guitar. Can you guess the adjective order based on this? Old, slightly bobbed blonde guitar. So
Age,
first
shape,
comes,
and color.
you have age, shape, color, and then the noun, right? So between age, shape, and color, if you have adjectives related to age and shape and color, then the order is first the age, then the shape, and then the color. Okay. Uh, do we have any other longer adjectives here? No, I think that's the only one here. So then the adjective order would be definitely what? So say you have other things as well, right? Then how does it work? Order of adjectives. So if you say, I add something to this, okay, right now we don't have an opinion, right? If, for example, I wanted to add the word valuable to that, right? So where will I add the word valuable? If I want to add the word valuable along with old, slightly warped blonde guitar, where can I add it? Will it come after old or after warped or, okay, Manisha says in the first place. How about others?
After age.
So you're saying it should be old, valuable, slightly warped blonde guitar, is it?
It should come before old.
Yeah. So
It
it
should
comes before,
come before
right?
the age.
Correct, correct. So, like you people said, and also Manisha said, it's going to be it's going to take up the first position. So you'll say a valuable old, slightly warped blonde guitar, right? So then opinion takes the front seat. Now, if you have something that is related to, say, how do I say this? If I want to add size, right? I want to say something about the size. Then where am
Before
I
the
going to
age.
place it? Before the age. So say something valuable, enormous, what was it? Slightly warped, sorry, valuable, enormous, old, slightly warped blonde guitar, right? That's going to
Yeah,
be
but
Yes,
the
can
ma'am.
it come after color also, no?
color that comes later. Okay, that comes later.
No, the size can come after the color also, right?
No, this is the order that you need to follow. So, opinion, then the size, then the age or shape, then the color, then the material, then the type, right? That's how it goes. So, you have valuable, enormous, or small, whatever it is, valuable, enormous, old, slightly warped, blonde guitar, if this is how you're going to use it. So we have now opinion, we have size, we have age, we have size, sorry, we have shape, and then we have the color, right? That's how it goes. This is the order. We can't change this order, right? This is a fixed order for adjectives in English. What else? Suppose we have, what do we not have in this? Um, say I want to include a physical quality, right? Like, for example, say neat or untidy or something, right? In this case, what can you add? let's say clean, right? If I want to add the adjective clean, then where will I put it?
In the first place.
Yeah. So, now you just look at the expression that you have here, right? Don't go beyond that. Just say, because we can't keep it really long and then, remember it. So in case I want to add, in old, slightly warped blonde guitar, if I want to add physical quality, where will I add? Like clean.
In the starting,
In the starting, right? So clean, old, slightly warped blonde guitar. And if you are going to use the opinion and the other thing, then it's going to be valuable, enormous, clean, old, slightly warped blonde guitar. Although no writer is going to do that unless, they are quirky and maverick, because it's too much of detail for anybody to keep. But in case you're required to do it somewhere, then this is the order, right? So you're going to say valuable, then next is going to be enormous, valuable,
Enormous.
enormous, clean, old, warped. What is that? Blonde guitar. Okay. Okay. All right. I think that is more than enough. We don't have to go beyond that. So I'll just tell you what the adjective order is. Just post that for your information in the chat. I think that should be enough, right? So this is how it's going to be. Okay. I hope this is right. Please check if the order is given rightly. Okay. So opinion, then followed by size. Is that right? Opinion, size, then comes shape, then comes, actually age should be before that, right? So opinion, size, age, shape, origin, material and purpose. Okay, slightly altered. I'll repost it. It should be. Okay, this one. Okay, this should be the right order. Yeah. Opinion, size, age, shape, origin, material type, purpose. Okay. And if you have anything else to add, for example, if you have physical quality, then that comes after the size, right? So after size follows your physical quality, right? Physical quality basically means neat or ragged or things like that. So that comes after the size.
Ma'am, physical quality does come in under the determiner or not?
Physical quality, no, that's also an adjective, no? So, for example, if I say neat work, or if I say a ragged cloth, this is a physical quality. Or if I say muscular physique, then that's again physical quality. So that doesn't come under determiner. It's also an adjective. See, determinants are also sort of adjectives, right? They also work like an adjective in the sense that they always modify the nouns. Anything that modify nouns would be considered an adjective. Even articles, for that matter, are considered adjectives, right? Because it gives you details about specificity and countability or the number of the noun. All of them are broadly categorized under adjectives, but these adjectives are more like, they are descriptive adjectives as opposed to the others. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Uh, it's a kind of guitar. That's what I'm not like very knowledgeable in guitar, but I think it should be the name. Some kind of guitar. Okay. But that is not an adjective, because see, you can guess it from the way it is written, right? It's in capital. It's not an adjective for sure. Probably the name of either An artist, or maybe a company that manufactured it, probably something of that sort. Yeah, it is a noun for sure. I know it's a name, but I don't know if it's of the if it's something that's used by an artist by that name, or if it is a company that manufactures it. I don't know. It's a name for sure. It's like a Yamaha Casio, right? You know, that's a name. Okay. All right. So this activity basically was to make you understand how to group adjectives, right? So if you know the grouping of adjectives, then it is easier for you to write down things also. And while you're grouping, you should also know what the order of their representation should be. Usually, one doesn't go beyond, say, two or three, adjectives together. So it's not a very difficult task. But in case you go beyond that, or even within that, you should know how the grouping has to be done, right? What's the order of grouping when you do that, right? So that's with this particular activity. Now I'm going to leave you with this task to be done on your own. So this page remains open. You can choose one among the topics here, and based on whatever we discussed, and your inputs from the two sessions, you can construct a paragraph on either of the two topics, either one of the topics that's given here. Please do not write more than 5 or 6 sentences. So the size of your paragraph has to be something similar to this one, right? The blonde guitar, that should be, this should serve as a sample for you to write down your paragraph as well. Please consider writing and submitting so that, I can take a look at it and you can get some kind of feedback for this. Make a note of the link to this particular activity for this activities that we have done in the class, because if you lose access to the link, then you probably won't be able to submit. So for the convenience of others who have joined late and wish to participate in this, I'm just going to repaste the link once again in the chat. Those of you who haven't saved it, you can save it and make a submission, right? This is not graded. It's only for people who want to practice. Okay. So if you submit, you will get a feedback. If not, then of course, no. Try and submit so that you can see what you have learned and if there are any other things that you need to keep in mind, right? So I think that's all from my end. I know this was like a very short workshop. I wish we've had more time to discuss this. But again, then like everything else, we face constraints with respect to finding a schedule and getting most of you to participate in that, because you have other engagements, you have other appointments, you have other things to attend to. We know that. So we just try to squeeze in between every other schedule that we have, so that, at least if a few people can make use of it, let them do. And of course, these are recorded sessions. So anyone who wishes to do this later, of course, they can come back and look at it. You don't get to submit the assignments. That's the downside. But even then, you'll get some idea about what these things are, right? You'll get some understanding of what descriptive writing or basic writing skills are. Yeah, that's all. So thank you so much. If you have any questions, please do ask. If not, thank you so much for joining and staying back and listening to me. I hope this was helpful too. Okay.
Ma'am, can you
Thank you,
give an
ma'am.
example? Ma'am, can you give an example for the urgent type of adjective?
Origin type of adjectives.
Yes.
Yeah. So, something like, something like, say, how do I put it? Say a Roman, Roman ring, right? If I say, or say a polished suit, right? So I'm basically giving you a reference to the origin of something, right? Or say Southern music, or say Carnatic music, or Hindustani music, right? This is origin.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's an example of origin.
Okay. Ma'am, and yesterday's session, it is requesting for access, like it's not opening.
That is because I think they have not yet created a playlist. Once they create a playlist, you won't have to have an access, okay? I think by tomorrow that should be up, so no issues.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. No problem.
Ma'am, I am not getting access for any of the learn the rope sessions.
Are you not, so are you going to direct link or are you trying to access it from the playlist? If you go to the direct recording, probably you won't get an access because I don't think they give you access to recording. They'll only give the access in the YouTube playlist.
Ma'am, from the calendar I was accessing it.
So are you accessing that's my question is, are you accessing it on the YouTube playlist or are you clicking on to the recording in the
Yes, ma'am, I
uh,
was clicking on the recording in the
so if you're
calendar.
clicking on the recording, then I don't think they provide access to that. You can, alternatively go to the playlist link. I think there's a link to the playlist also in the calendar. So go to that. I think you can find it easily there. Okay.
Okay, ma'am, I will try it.
Sure. Okay. Any other questions? Anyone? Okay, then thank you so much. See you again sometime later with something else. Thank you so much for joining in. See you, everyone.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Sure.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.